So when you feel triggered or awakened by something that has happened and you feel it somewhere in your body, what is the next step? Okay. So first off, that's a really wonderful moment of awareness. Noticing that in this moment, there's a sensation in my body. There's a sensation in my body and it's an unpleasant one. And thus it must be a trigger for me. So already you have a split second in which you're taking a pause, right? So the next step now is to realize what you need to do to find safety. Now, this doesn't mean that every time you feel a trigger, you retreat from a difficult conversation, or every time you feel a trigger, you retreat from the trigger itself. What is a trigger? A trigger is an uncomfortable feeling moving through your body, triggers an automatic response, which is usually aimed at protecting you in some way or from something. Okay. So there's several components to a trigger, but there's the physiological component, the instinctual component, which is usually to, if we're talking about this in the realms of attachment, which is to reach for or pull or push away in the nervous system to protect you. And so now the mind is going to weave a thought around that instinctual response to explain it. Oh, and the thoughts, depending on your attachment style, will have a flavor, right? So avoidant thought flavor will be, they're trying to control me. They're trying to emotionally manipulate me. They're way too dependent on me and I have too much power here and I'm bound to fail that expectation, fail this relationship because I don't know what to do with that power and I don't want it. This is too much for me. I will disappear into this relationship if I continue. So on. We have the anxious thought process. Oh, they think they're going to get away with that. They're trying to control me by withdrawing. I will not accept that punishment. They're probably seeing someone else and they're just using me to fluff themselves up. They're not trustworthy. They're going to abandon me. If I don't stay on top of it, then nothing will happen. If I stop initiating, nothing will get done. I have to give 150% of this relationship, 200% of this relationship in order to earn the love they give me. And if they stop loving me, if they love me too much, then that must mean that they are insecure and this love isn't true. I have to earn it some way in order to prove that I'm lovable. And then our fearful avoidant partner will have some mishmash of those things. I'm not capable of relationship. Anytime someone gets too close, I sabotage it. If they love me, then there must be something wrong with them, right? Because I'm not lovable fundamentally, things like that. So we have a trigger, and then there's a torrent of thoughts that come up. Those are the more general ones that I'm expressing based on attachment style. But you will, if you've been in a relationship for a long time, there will be a laundry list of those beliefs and thoughts that probably run through your mind when you're in an argument. You want to think about how many of those now are actually more tied to underlying premises that I have around the threats to this relationship, how connected we really are, and what I'm actually feeling. So in parts work, I'm going to come back to parts work, which is a lovely, parts work is a wonderful blend with somatic work. I would recommend thinking about when you feel a trigger, noticing where it lives in your body and going into that in a creative way, and then exploring it and then externalizing it in a creative way so that you can be in conversation with that part, because it's likely to be an energy tied to an inner child, or what Richard Schwartz calls a manager, or a firefighter, meaning protective parts that keep the inner child in its place so that you don't have to feel the discomfort. But the protective mechanisms have become dysfunctional because in trying to protect you from disconnection, they are creating disconnection. And so that's why I think parts work is so useful, and why we can't just learn communication strategies. We also have to learn the mechanisms required to process the emotional energy. Because let's go back to this example. You're triggered, those thoughts run through your head, but another part of you knows the correct thing to say. I'm going to act secure in this moment, and I'm going to say the right thing, which I studied and memorized. And so now I say the right thing, and maybe you get a better response, and that's nice, but it doesn't touch the part of you that feels resentful that in that moment you had to be the one to know and say the right thing, and they got to tantrum like a child and you didn't. Because when we're adults, we all tantrum like children. I mean, we're all just kids in adult bodies. When we fight, we tantrum. It's okay. Let's just embrace that. Because then once we embrace that, then we also embrace permission to love each other in the way that children do, kind of unabashedly, right? So let's all agree to love each other unabashedly, which means we get to accept that there will be a part of us that tantrums like a child every once in a while. It's okay. Accept it. So now we have this permission. And so now we want to be aware of when that trigger comes up, that it's, let's say it's connected to a younger part, and that resentful part that doesn't care if you say and said the right thing and got the response that you were looking for. It doesn't touch that resentment you feel. It doesn't touch that feeling like, oh, I'm still being the parentified child, and now I've become a parent to my partner. And that part of me, even though I'm saying and doing the right things and it's helping them, I'm still carrying this emotional baggage and I'm sick of it. I'm still carrying this responsibility for being this more secure partner and I'm sick of it, right? That's not going anywhere unless you address it directly. So this is why in my courses, The Courageous Communicator, we learn strategies, we learn scripts, we learn authentic emotional expression, and then we learn how to connect to the emotional energy behind what you're saying and how to process it through parts work and through energetic healing, so that when the partner starts to respond better, let's say in a more connected way, it's not resentment you feel, but it's openness and allowance and a deeper sense of connection. Mind and body are inextricably linked, and your communication is a creative expression of how the mind and body are connected. And so it all has to be addressed. It all has to be addressed together in an integrated and holistic way. Right? Okay, so with that, I am going to bring our call to a close. We're at about 1 hour now. I appreciate everyone sticking with me. I know I was a little bit slower today. I think it's because of recovering from COVID. But sometimes slowing down is not such a bad thing. So thank you everyone for joining me here today. And I look forward to joining you again in the first Thursday of the month, and again in the third Thursday of the month. Also, remember to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I put out videos once a week and I wouldn't want you to miss out.